The Radio Troller Entertainment Podcast Channel.
Welcome to Waxy Buildup, a podcast covering the earliest recordings from the 1880s to the mid-1920s. I'm Eric Paul Johnson, and we're going to step outside of that date range. Like in those episodes of New and Old Quantum Leap, where the main leaper leaps outside of his timeline to hundreds of years before he was born, we're going to be doing something like that today. For about 140 years, this was thought to be the very first recording.
Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
It's Thomas Edison doing Mary Had a Little Lamb, and that's not actually the first recording. He recreated the very first thing he recorded in 1929 to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the record. Edison, thieving genius that he was, he made that first record, and then he took it apart to see how it worked. Don't ever do that. When you make your first thing and it works, do it again and tinker with that second recording. You always save the first thing you did that you had success with. You don't destroy it. Well, in March 2008, history was upturned, thrown asunder. Heads were spinning. Wait, what? We have recordings before 1877? Yes, we do now. Thanks to the magic of electronal marvels and computer widgets and technology and all that stuff, we were able to take recordings etched in the 1850s and bring them to you here in the 21st century. Now I'm going to give you two warnings. The first warning is there's a lot of French involved with this, and there's no doubt that my dim-witted American brain is going to butcher a lot of this French, so go easy on me. I'm talking about phonautograms. They were developed by Edward Leon Scott de Martinville, and it wasn't a wax cylinder, it wasn't tin, which was what the first record was that Edison invented. This was paper, and it was soot-covered paper, and the sound was etched onto it somehow. And it wasn't meant to be heard. It was meant to be seen. These little experiments here, these little science widgets here that happened, it was to see what sound looked like. And that's it. Some people made some attempts to try and get the sound from the picture, which is kind of what it is, like a drawing of sound made by this machine. But it just didn't work until computers and science of the early 21st century was able to take the picture and turn it into sound. Now this is the second warning I'm going to give you. These recordings are terrifying. These were recorded in the 1850s and 1860s, 150, 160, 170 years ago. These people are dead. These people are long dead, for well over 100 years. And considering this is the earliest attempts at recording, this really sounds like it's dead people trying to contact you from beyond the grave, and the sound is emanating from somewhere in the room. Don't listen to this podcast if it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you got the lights out, unless you like being scared. And don't listen alone. Or maybe just save it for Halloween. Maybe I should have done that instead. So this is the first recording that we know of ever. This is from August 17th, 1857. And because there's no electrical motor involved or anything, it's hand cranked. So it's going to sound all warbly and weird. And even the people who decoded this piece of paper can't figure out what the tune is. Written on it is, I'm not going to attempt the French. I got the translation right here. That's what I'm going to do. In American, it's titled Young Little Girl. So, are your pants soaked in urine? This is why I peed before I started working on this episode. So the news broke to the world in March 2008 that these paper recordings had been decoded and the sound was out there for everyone to hear. And this was the first one that was put out. This is the one that was heard on all the news. This is the one that made me rush to that page on the internet. I got to save this. This is the first recording ever. And this is what I'm talking about when I say don't listen to this at 2 o'clock in the morning. Because, I had iTunes playing, I had it on shuffle, I had it on random. I'm a night kind of person. I'm usually up until 3 o'clock in the morning. whether I want to be or not. So one day, 2 o'clock in the morning, this is when I was living by myself in my apartment, this song randomly played. And I had to sleep with the lights on that night. So here it is, the first recording released of all these old songs. This was recorded on April 9th, 1860. So this predates the American Civil War by about 3 days. This is Au clair de lune. That French I can do. Now this is the first speech recorded. The other things were people singing. This is the first spoken word. And it's an excerpt from Othello. And the translation is here, because otherwise, unless you really know your Shakespeare, and I don't, you're probably not going to have a clue what might be going on here. So it says here, so it must be that to this rival, faithless Edelweiss, gave this diadem. In their cruel rage are lions of the desert beneath their burning lair. ... That's probably where it stopped. April 17th, 1860. Some guy reciting a bit from Othello. Well, that was the very first spoken word recorded. This is the very first spoken Italian recorded. And it's the opening lines from Tasso's Amanita. What is said here is, who would believe that under human form and under this pastoral garb there would be found a god, not only a ... and that's where it ends. This was recorded in May or April 1860. Now there's nothing complicated about this recording. This is just the vocal scale from May 17th, 1860. And we have the last recording available here for your audio horror show. I got these from firstsounds.org, and you can go there and hear what they got and download what they got if you want to keep this stuff on file, especially if you want to add something to your Halloween playlist. And for this one, I'm going to read it straight what they got written here, instead of me trying to sum it up. This is the only photo autogram Edward Leon Scott de Martinville identified as made with an amplifying lever, his last known phonographic design change. It is therefore presumably also his last known phonautograph, dating from late September 1860, or maybe even later. Equally noteworthy is the content, a lively rendition of a song that is as much performance as experiment. When First Sounds first published this recording, the selection was unidentified, except that the final syllables seemed to be the same as the inscribed title, Vole petit abilble, or Fly Little Bee. It turns out to be La Chanson d'Albe, from the comic opera La Reine Topaz by Victor Masse. We're almost done here. First performed in 1856. Thanks to Peter L. Goodman for his help in the search, as well as to David Lasaki of the William and Gail Cook Music Library. Okay, now if things go according to plan, Podbean is going to stick a few commercials in here. That'll give you time to change your pants and maybe get yourself settled down before we get into the less scary stuff of Century Smash Hits. And now it's time for Century Smash Hits. These are the songs that entered the pop charts 100 years ago, according to Joel Whitburn's book, Pop Memories, 1890 to 1954. And 6 songs made their chart debut this week. Spending 1 week at number 15, Rose Marie by Jesse Crawford. Sam Lannon and his orchestra spent 1 week on the chart at number 13 with Fascinating Rhythm. Another single-week chart entry. Benny Moten's Kansas City Orchestra got to number 12 with South. this song's a bit of a throwback. For 1925, this sounds a lot like 1905. Spent 1 week on the chart, got to number 11. This is At the End of the Road by Henry Burr and Albert Campbell.
I'm just as weary can be. Little old Main Street, you'd look good to me. I didn't know when I said goodbye how I would miss you. I'm just learning why. At the end of the road, the long dusty road, there's peace, there's contentment and rest, and a cottage of white, if memory serves me right, with a welcome from those I love best. I'm going back to Indiana, and I never more will roam. From the end of the road, the long dusty road that leads to home, sweet home. Shadows are rising and through memory's haze, oh, what a picture appeals to my gaze. Through shady lanes where the summer breeze blows, bidding me come to its heart and repose. I'm going back to Indiana, and I never more will roam. From the end of the road, the long dusty road that leads to home, sweet home.
It's 1925, so of course there's going to be a new Paul Whiteman song entering the chart. This one spent 3 weeks on the chart, getting to number 7, and it's called When the One You Love Loves You.
heart is truly blessed with happiness, and you are smiling too. Your your dreams have all come true. When the one you love loves you.
And finally, 9 weeks on the chart. One of those weeks at number 1, Ted Lewis and his band with "Oh, Katerina." There's an exclamation point after the O. I gotta hit the exclamation point. Waxy Buildup is a production of Radio Trolla Entertainment, Assorted Deli Meats Amalgamated. If you've got a comment, song request, or suggestion for a show topic, leave a voicemail at 623-850-3375 or email it to eloftmpodcast@gmail.com. You can financially support the podcast just by listening at ftmelo.podbean.com and sharing the link and getting other people to listen, or through PayPal using the address eloftmpodcast@gmail.com, or by subscribing to my comic strip at patreon.com/lntcs. Edward Leon Scott de Martinville. Edward Leon Scott.
REPC, the Radio Troller Entertainment Podcast Channel.